So we are ending at the last part, if that little thing will ever leave, that one of the other influences for species richness is going to be distance from other communities, meaning animal communities, not us. So this is the theory of island biogeography, the TIB. Some will call it the IBG for island biogeography, but it still a theory, but it is a staple of ecology and conservation, and it also dabbles in wildlife management and biological conservation, stuff like that. So basically, this is the theory that demonstrates the dual importance of habitat size and distance in determining species richness. Basically, what they're saying is, and how this research started, and I will introduce you to our friends Edward and Robert in a video when I present this to you. Basically, what they're saying is that this is the mainland, like the main continent, and you have these islands that are off the continent. There are two things that are going to give you an advantage to try to increase your species richness, okay, or your species count, your biodiversity. One being a larger landing pad, basically, for plants and animals to make it to. For an island to be larger, you're automatically going to have higher levels of biodiversity. Additionally, proximity to the mainland. The closer that you are to the mainland, the more likely you are to be colonized by species from the mainland. Flip the script. The smaller you are automatically just not going to be as big of a landing pad. So that is going to bring your numbers down or bring your potential down for biodiversity. And then, of course, the farther away you are from the mainland is also going to do that. So this is a really cool graphic that they have. You should pause and kind of look at it and see if you can kind of make a little understanding of it. But this theory of island biogeography has a lot of application in a lot of different places. Basic graph from the book. Again, just showing that island area would increase your number of bird species. It's just more space for those creatures to land, and automatically larger area is going to give you larger habitat, which is going to give you a higher possibilities of the probability of biodiversity. You just have more potential for resources there, and for species to find their niches versus if you're all kind of sitting on top of one another. I'm starting to think if I forgot to say one of the 4 things for the speciation, that it was time and stuff like that. I don't know if I went all into that, but I think that was pretty obvious stuff. The longer you have and the larger your habitat is. I apologize. I'm going back in my head. Anyway, so theory of island biogeography is great for islands and for new volcanic islands and things like that. Bye, guys. Be careful. Stay safe. They're going to hockey. Do you want to see my family? Wave. There's my dirty house. Bye. Take it easy. Are you goalie? Yeah. Okay, good luck. Go get them. Or don't let them get you. Bye. So the application of this past actual island ecology actually has been adopted by construction and urbanization projects. Habitat fragmentation is basically where you take a plot of land and then you build in it, and then any pockets of untouched forest, I guess, is considered like an island. And then all of that area that has been developed or been, somehow impacted with human activity is kind of like the ocean. Some species are just going to be better at moving across the ocean to try to get to an island. And the same is true when you have people in the way of species trying to maybe move out of their resource, migrate if they need to, because they need to go and find other hospitable habitat, or they need to find other resources that maybe their little island doesn't offer them anymore. Then you got to talk about founder effects and genetic flow and stuff like that. But that can happen on islands, but that can certainly be extrapolated out to terrestrial areas. And especially if you have things like forest fires and floods, that's also going to cause habitat fragmentation, which PS is a buzzword on FRQs. Habitat fragmentation is in the line of habitat destruction, but it's a lot more finesse. It's a lot more savvy. So basically, we figured some of these things out. If we are going to farm land and you have animals that need to migrate or need to travel across large areas because they just have wide expanses, we'll give them a corridor, is what these are called. This is like a pathway for them to have some shelter, have some resources so that they can move freely, maybe from one, especially the picture down here, so that maybe they can move from one habitat to another unencumbered. So instead of having, just two little dots, I guess, of unaffected forest, you just make a little connection between them. Same with houses. A lot of new housing developments, one of the big things is that they want green spaces in them. So they want little parks and little areas of like wildlife refuge and like pollinators, gardens and stuff. And that's all well and good, but your turtles aren't going to be able to make it across the street if they're stuck on one side and the creek is on the other side of the park. We've all seen that that video where that snapping turtle's trying to climb that chain link fence and those people keep recording it. I just want to punch them. But if you make these little corridors where these animals are able to transect that safely, then you have really connected those habitats together and thus made them not have to be challenged to go and get those resources. These are great and these are real. There is a huge one that they're building in California for the California mountain lion, maybe one of those big cats, but it is a massive endeavor, like in the middle of LA. It's wild. But animals that need to migrate, these are crabs, and there are some coastal islands or coastal habitats and coastal islands where these crabs will suddenly all go to, breed or find mates or eat. And so they were all running across these roads that we built and just getting smashed. So we built little overpasses for them. It doesn't take much to block a crab, just a little partition along there. And then they just climb up and over this mesh and they get themselves across and then they can come on back to the water. Your larger animals like your moose are migrating animals, caribou, and they get killed all the time on highways. They cause a lot of damage to cars because they're huge animals. So just giving them these spaces to move freely and safely where they're evolved to do so, because we built the road over where their path has crossed. So that's just kind of a cool thing to do. So there's all this other information too about edge effect. The edges of a biome or an ecology or an ecosystem or like a forested area, there is a lot of very specific characteristics and resources at the edge where a forest will just end and a forest will just start. And it's really a very strange place because if your island is small, the area around it is small. So that's a habitat for some animals. It's not always the inside that's the habitat. It could be the outside for some birds, a lot of plants that maybe are not good at competing for sunlight because they don't get big, but they need a lot. So like your shrubs, a lot of insects. And so they're going to require you to not only make these islands, but make them bigger, basically make these habitats bigger versus giving you a bunch of little ones or building something that's maybe a little bit more linear for multiple reasons. Bringing those little fragmented habitats closer together is just part of basically green construction now. So, and really you can make it very aesthetically pleasing for people. And it's kind of becoming very kitsch to do cool environmental things. And I've always said, if you can make it sexy, that's the job of the next generation. We have all this data about conservation and problems we have with the environment. Your guys' job is to just market it and make it happen. Make people think it's the coolest thing ever. It's awesome right now to help the environment. And I'm hoping that trend continues and increases, and your generation has got to run with it because you guys are smart. Like, you guys know how to get people's attention. So go out and do your stuff. This might be it for me. This is it. Okay, I think we did it. We did it. Okay, bring your questions, concerns, comments, complaints. I'll have a little video for you with my buddies. And this is a whole new industry too that's coming out, this whole idea with construction, stuff like that. I like the idea that construction and the environment have maybe will make some good friends because they've been enemies for quite some time. Okay, bye.